Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. Today we will be seeing if we can beat Skyrim at level 1. There are no real other rules besides just the fact that we are not able to level up past level 2. We will not be using any glitches or exploits, and I currently do not have any mods installed, although for future runs there may or may not be mods. But with that, let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so starting off we have two races we could pick from, either the offensive orcs or the defensive Bretons. I decided to go with Breton personally, A, just because I prefer the way they look, and B, their racial ability to get 50% reduced magic once a day, as well as the passive 15% magic. I personally think magic damage is going to be the biggest threat this run, especially with all the dragons we have to fight, so getting defenses wherever we can is worthwhile to me. This ends up working out great in the long run, as the orc power does not work on ranged weapons, despite the fact that originally I had drafted this run with two one-handers. I eventually decided to swap to archery later in the run. Our dragon mother wakes us up and tells us it's time to get ready for school. On the way out of Helgen, we of course make the sensible decision and go with the people who did not try to cut our heads off 5 minutes ago. And just like that, we are out and unleashed upon the world of Skyrim. I first start off by getting to know the locals and also acquiring their treasure map. Next up is Riften, and the first thing we do is grab the side quests from Lucian for the gold reward for later, as well as procure some goods from his store for our travel. Listen, we're helping him, we can take it. I also pick up an axe while we are in town. And then we are off to Bleak Falls Burrow. We observe the failing of the Skyrim public school system in action. We slay the Nightmare Fuel, and afterwards, deciding we don't want to split the loot with the Dark Elf, we split him in half. Alright, now it's boss battle time. I then introduced this ancient Nord warrior to the ancient video game art of running a powerful enemy around in circles while keeping max range of it so it cannot hit you. Truly, he was surprised by such innovative tactics. Some call me a military genius. It was around this time that I bothered checking whether my original plan would actually work. When I first started this run, I'd intended to go for the Deathbrand armor from the Dragonborn DLC, as the set effect would be very powerful, especially at a low level. However, I forgot to check if the quest had a level requirement, and it does, and it's level 35, which is obviously 34 levels way too high for this run. So, on the fly, I decided that we'd be swapping the build over to more of an archery focus. Bleak Falls cleared and Dragonstone in hand, we head back to Riverwood to turn in our quest with Lucian. Realizing now that I would be swapping over to an archery build, I decided to make my way over to Embershard Mine and grab some ore to be able to craft enough arrows to keep us supplied for most of the run. Making our way off to Whiterun and a little bit of chopping and smithing. Later, we have enough arrows to retire as a Fletcher, but alas, this dragon issue isn't going to solve itself, so I guess we have to keep being a hero. Darn. Introducing ourselves to the Jarl and his wizard, we hear of the first dragon attack near the city. We are off to slay it as we failed our seduction roll. After our epic game of a tower defense, we find out that we are in fact the legendary Dragonborn, and the Greybeards call us by shouting. They must have forgot about the immortal teleporting couriers that exist inside this universe. On our way to meet with the Greybeards, we run into another dragon, which I promptly run away from with my hands up in the air, flailing and on fire. However, we pass by the Atronach Stone, which is my real reason for coming out this way. This stone gives us a ridiculous bonus to our magical defense, as it absorbs 50% of all magic damage taken and gives you magicka for it, which is awesome for our build, which already has naturally high magic resistance, and with our racial will literally make us immune to magic as long as it lasts. We make our way up the mountain, passing the ice snakes and not tempting fate with the frost troll on the mountain. After shouting at some old men, they tell us that we have to go get their favorite drinking horn if we want to join their gray robe fraternity. Although seeing as I am easily distracted, we make our way to Windhelm in order to help a kid with a murder. I swear it's not as bad as it sounds. Yeah, it is at this point that I decided that I was going to end up doing a good chunk of the Dark Brotherhood storyline, as it gives me access to a good armor set with good enchantments, as well as a pretty good bow later on in one of the quests. We are already not off track enough though, so first we make a detour to the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind to see about a possible weapon upgrade. On the way to my objective, I grabbed some armor and a new one-handed weapon off a guard I found dead on the ground. I was not helping his friend as I did negative damage to the Ash Spawn. I am not looking forward to the eventual Can You Beat the Dragonborn DLC at level 1 that'll probably happen at some point in time. So the bow I am after is the bow of the Glass Stag sold by the shady merchant here at the abandoned trading outpost, but sadly I am not able to get it as he has it equipped, and without being a high enough level to reverse pickpocket him a better weapon, or steal it off him, I will not be able to acquire it. This has ended up not really being a big deal in the long run, as I found an even better bow to use that I was not sure I could even get until later in the run. We then make our way over to Riften on order of the child we met in Windhelm. While in Riften, we run into the cultists from the Dragonborn DLC, and despite them not being scary, me accidentally shooting a guard and getting killed by him is quite scary, so we are handed our first death of the run. Wouldn't be a Skyrim game without a little stealth archery. On our way to retrieve the drinking horn for our fraternity, we head through Morthal and get a letter from our scary new friends. Yay! And this time, the cultists are back as well. But without me accidentally shooting the guards, this is actually not that bad of a fight. Oh, and to make it better, a dragon is here, so we also deal with that. Alright, time to grab our drinking horn. Our horn is in fact in another castle. I continue to bounce around, going back to Riften and the Temple of Mara, and deciding to become a medieval matchmaker for promise of buffs from Mara. To be honest, this quest is boring as heck and it's just a lot of dialogue. I'm gonna spare you the tedium. I'm just gonna show you when I finish it and show you the buff that we get for finishing it. We then make our way back to the Dark Brotherhood, get our sweet new armor, pick up some small jobs from the guild. Bish, bang, bosh, we're done and back to grab our first real contract from Astrid. Although the clown has also arrived, I didn't know the circus was in town. We head off to Markarth and talk to Muri, get our first murder job if you don't count the one we did to get the Brotherhood's attention, or the side quests, or the hundreds of nameless bands we've killed. Moving on. I did decide at this point that we were going to help with her special objective, as the enchanted ring she gives us might be useful later in the run, or in future level 1 runs if I continue to use this character. We also get the poison she offers, as we might need it in the future. At this point I decided I wanted another upgrade to our one-handed weapons just in case, and we head off to the cave from the Hircine Daedric quest. Now we are not high enough level for any furry shenanigans, but we can pick up the unique sword that spawns here. Stamina damage and fear might come in handy to keep those high level enemies off us in a pinch. As we have been running around, I finish up my job as Medieval Tinder and head back for the Temple of Mara for our reward, more passive magic defense. After accepting our quest, we head off to Windhelm to kill Muri's first target, Nilsine Shattershield. After failing miserably, I decide I'm better off just waiting for her to go to sleep and killing her there in her house. Alright, one down, one to go. Next off, we're off to the dwarven ruins of Relibar to kill Elaine Dufont for Mary. While here, I make a discovery. Apparently we can complete the Lost to the Ages quests and acquire the unique bow found near the end, Aether, which will be a fantastic DPS increase overall and ends up being the hard carry of the run. Having finished our job, we head back to Markarth, talk to Muri, and then sneak into the Temple of Dibella. I actually want to get caught sneaking around in the temple, as it's the only way to get the quest to return the sigil here and get to the passive damage bonus. But first, let's head off and get our new shiny toy. We head off to another dwarven ruin, and we run to a friendly ghost, Kateria, who will eventually lead us to our new best weapon. The Falmer here are quite a bit beefier than the bandits we've been fighting up until this point, but it still isn't too bad. They do a lot of damage, though. So our new sword that we picked up gets some value here, fearing away some of the Falmer before they are able to kill us, so we can just pick them off. Near the end of the dungeon, on a log, we find our new best weapon, Aether, a bow which has a passive enchantment that decreases the draw time or increases the rate of fire. It basically just makes us do a lot more damage. We do finish up the quest here, as I don't want the follower to be following us for the rest of the run. Now we continue on our quest to hunt down the sigil. She was captured by some Forsworn and held at a nearby fort. Not too bad. We return the girl to the temple and get us a new passive damage buff. Having acquired our endgame weapon for the run, I want to continue with the Dark Brotherhood quest to finish getting our gear set up. We get a hug from the Night Mother, find out we are the listener, and we're sent off for more side quests. A pair of dead vampire lumberjacks later, and we're back to the sanctuary to go ahead and follow the Night Mother's orders. We get the job to assassinate the Emperor. And now it's time to go crash a wedding. While here, we pick up the unique bow Feindal's End, which spawns. The DPS isn't quite as good as Aether, but for stealth kills, it'll do more damage, so we pick it up just in case. We thank the Empire for its crappy masonry, and grab some trophies off the bride, and then flee the scene, all the while apparently not acquiring a bounty. Our next job is to plant some incriminating documents on a member of the Emperor's personal guard who came to Skyrim recently to prepare for his arrival. Arriving back at the sanctuary, we find out Cicero's gone AWOL, and even though I don't intend to finish the rest of the quest line, we can at least acquire us some new wheels. The bonus from our last job unlocks the ability for us to acquire the Ancient Shrouded Armor, so we head off to get that. The full set is quite a bit better than our previous armor, boasting a bit better armor rating and significantly better enchantments all around. Fully geared out at this point, we get back on track with the main quest and the rest of the run.
And I figured out we're going to go there.
We meet up with our secret admirer and we're off to Kynesgrove to kill another dragon. A test, if you will. Another scaly slate, and now we're off to crash an elven party. Before that, though, we bring back the drinking horn to the frat house. We make our way into the party, and after getting a random individual to create a distraction for us in exchange for more booze, we sneak out the back and reacquire our gear that was smuggled in for us. A little snooping, a little slaying, and we get our hands on some Thalmor documents. Prison break some random guy, fail to save our friend, and now we're off to find a guy named Esborn before the Thalmor can get to him.
What? No, that's not me. I'm not Esborn.
We find him in the Ratway sewers. We give him the secret words, ravioli, ravioli, give me the formioli, and he knows that we are friends, and he lets us into his safe house. Slay some Thalmor on our way out. And now we're off to the Reach to find an ancient Blades temple that should have some information for us on defeating Alduin.
It's coming to life.
Inside, we learn from a painting about a shout that might help us defeat the dragons.
Shout that can knock a dragon.
So it's back to the Greybeards to see if they might know the shout. Now, they don't know the shout, and originally don't want to help us, but the big cheese tells them to shut up and help us, so they decide to let us meet the head of the Greybeards. The leader of the Greybeards is in fact a big friendly dragon, and next thing you know, we're off to find an Elder Scroll. We head off to the College of Winterhold, because where else to learn about crazy magical artifacts? Talk with an actual insane person, and now we're off to everybody's favorite underground city, Blackreach. Wanting nothing to do with the denizens of Blackreach, and certainly nothing to do with that Crimson Nightmare quest line, we make a beeline right for the tower and the Elder Scroll. We collect the scroll from the tower, and now we're back off to the top of the mountain. Some old Nord boomers tell us our shouting ain't shit and shows us how it's done. And we get our shout to defeat Alduin. The big black lizard is not happy we learned his safe word and shows up for a fight. Something a little funny happens during the Alduin fight. Shadowmere decides he wants to come up and get into the action, and ends up tanking all the dragon flame and frost right to the face, no problem. So, I'm starting to think we aren't the hero in this story. Now it's time to see about trapping us a dragon? Okay, the Jarl will not let us trap the dragon while the war is still going on, so we gotta go hold us a peace conference. The leaders share some puffs of the peace pipe, and man, is this glorified cutscene feel like it takes forever. I know this is going to be the bane of my existence on future runs. I'm going to have to start incorporating runs that want me to do the Civil War questline. We trap us one scaly boy. And one dragon ride later, we're chasing Alduin to the portal to Sovngarde. One dragon, two dragon. At the top of the ruins, we have a fight with a dragon priest, and this is honestly the hardest fight of the run, at least at the latter half of the run. Thankfully, I'd been collecting plenty of alchemy materials and had tons of potions to tank through the damage. We take the portal to Sovngarde, walk across a bridge that frankly would be absolutely terrifying in real life, and even in game I felt like I was going to fall off of the entire time I was walking across it. We asked to speak to the dragon's manager. And finally, we have the final confrontation with Alduin. I'm going to be completely honest with you, he wasn't that scary the first time with Shadowmere tanking, and now we've got 3 allies to help us, so it still isn't that bad. Dragon goes down, and we finish the run. Okay, now this run was a whole bunch of fun. I really enjoyed doing this. I actually really enjoyed making this kind of content. The whole editing and putting the audio clips together and everything process, learning that has also been quite fun. I apologize for there not being videos over the past couple days. This is due to mainly me putting this video together and like kind of not being super well organized with my scripting and everything. But hopefully for future videos that'll change. I definitely am going to continue this style of video, and we will see you in the next one, which I have a couple runs I'm working on, but we're going to see which one I finish first or which one I feel like is more fun. We might also look at adding some mods in the future, not necessarily gameplay mods, but just stuff like Sky UI and quick loot, just to make my life a little bit better recording. But I appreciate everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we will eventually continue this character as well onto Dawnguard and eventually Dragonborn, so look forward to that too. But have a great day.